One's ready. Go!
Who knows? Welcome back, everybody, to the One's Ready podcast. This is a special one. This is just Trent and I. Quick reaction. There's a news story going on, and Trent got on the interwebs and was like, "Wait, did you guys hear about this?" And I was like, "Wait, we should record about it." That's not how it happened. That's how it happened in my head. So the Navy today, I got bad news. The Navy picked a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies and really had a real not having a good go of it. You know, somebody is getting fired over in the Navy. Trent, can you just, I'm going to pull it up on the screen, but do you start talking about what we're talking about?
Well, first question is the lead position at the Naval Academy open right now? Because that's where this person's going to go when they get fired.
Oh man, that's a shout out to our friend over at the USAFA commander, the USAFA superintendent. Yeah, because he got fired from AFSOC and then ended up failing up into a service academy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the captain of the USS Gettysburg is going to do. But as we see here from Task and Purpose, this is everybody reporting, by the way. This is breaking pretty wide. CENTCOM reported, I believe on December 21st. No, that'd be today. Yeah, December 21st. Reported that a Navy cruiser shot down a Navy FA-18 fighter jet over the Red Sea early Sunday morning, said U.S. Central Command says actually this morning. The FA-18 was shot down by weapons from a guided missile cruiser, the USS Gettysburg, after taking off from the USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier on December 22nd. Both Navy aviators ejected and were recovered. One of them sustained minor injuries, which is why we're going to joke about it, because everybody's fine. And really what this is just making fun of the Navy for shooting down their own fighter jet.
Well, this is what happens, right? When you go the entire GWAT and don't actually have to do anything, and then all of a sudden you do have to do a little bit of something.
Right.
They're like, they're launching drones at us, guys. We'll just shoot everything down, including our boys over there in the FA-18.
Yeah, I want to open the conversation with holy crap, how many levels failed on this? Like, people just think, I'm sure people don't think that. There's probably some contingent of people with very smooth brains out there that think there's just like one guy on a console somewhere and they see something, they go boop and they shoot it. And no, you were going to loose a missile from a Navy vessel, from the USS Gettysburg. There are multiple levels of command. There are 5 or 6 people. I don't even know the process well enough to lay out how many people had to be involved in this before that button got hit and that missile got sent. But holy crap, it's got to be a lot.
Let's talk about like an AC-130, which is a far less dangerous weapon than one of these cruisers, right? Like, it's a C-130 with a giant cannon and some other stuff, sticking out the side. Yep. To shoot something, it's at least a 3-step process.
I believe it's 3. So it's targeting, it's the WISO, like the weapon service person. They have to but they're always cleared by the pilot. It doesn't matter like how many people approve it up to actually shooting that person. So operation of the sensor, you have to find it, you have to slew the weapon to the target. The enlisted people have to load. There's like 9 crew members on an AC-130. The enlisted people have to load around and be involved in that process and get everything, like the back enders. And then there's an officer that sits in the back, that sits on a joystick and looks at a screen and says, oh, there's a target. That target should die. And then they decide that they're going to shoot it. Well, the pilot has to either okay every single time, or maybe there's a process that it's a little bit cleaner where the WISO gets to loose rounds. If the pilot's like, hey, we're in a bad area, you're going to need to shoot a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to need to be flying a bunch of stuff. So listen, you get to shoot some stuff. But the pilot still owns it. If an AC-130 kills something, it's the WISO and the pilot that go down for that. So imagine what it is on this Navy boat where there's a million people. There's only so many people you can fit in a freaking AC-130, right? Because it's an airplane. It's a small airplane comparatively. It's a huge boat. You know how many people are on that boat? They're like, oh man, I just can't even imagine.
Well, and then the article too, that's like, we're not even sure which weapon system, at least they're not telling anybody which weapon system shot down the F-18 yet.
Right.
And so it's like, that thing is armed to the teeth. It's got all kinds of crazy stuff on it. But like, if you listen to those conversations from the AC-130 crews, it's like, yeah, like, hey, we got this. We're talking to the guys on the ground. Like we targeted it. Yes, we're good to go. And then the other person is like, yeah, you can go ahead and loose that round. And then the other person actually shoots or something. It's wild. So you would assume on a highly, armed Navy cruiser, there's at least 3 people that have to say yes before they just throw stuff out into the air.
Well, the pilots can't, or the pilots, the officers. That was my Freudian slip. The officers can't do it themselves, right? So I guarantee the officer isn't the one hitting the button because that would make them sweaty, and officers don't like to be sweaty. So there's probably some enlisted sensor operator somewhere that's
Yeah.
staring at a screen full of radar that's getting threat warnings that has to turn around. And I'm I'm so bad on like the Navy. Like I've never been in one of these Navy control ships, so I always just refer to the Hunt for Red October. I assume that's what every single what's the Roll Tide. What's that movie? Crimson Tide with
Crimson
Denzel.
Tide.
Fantastic sub movie. I just pretend that they all have to look like that. So that's in my head as I'm talking to this. But there's got to be some techs that are sitting at a screen, probably enlisted, and they're probably like, "Hey, Lieutenant, there's a plane that's coming towards the boat," and there has to be some sort of conversation inside of that room. I can't imagine how this happened.
Well, it sounds like they're trying to like they're like we've been taking like the one-way attack drones from the Houthis in Yemen, who are super dangerous, by the way, and we're battling them even though we're not at war, and we're just eliminating a country for. I'm not sure why we're eliminating that country or helping other countries eliminate that country. Like, when did we all decide that we hate Yemen so much?
I'm
I
not
must have
sure.
missed that news cycle.
Let's bring it up. I don't even know if people can understand where on the map Yemen is. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at this spot right here. So this is Yemen, right? If you know, this is DJ. We have a huge base, Camp Lemonnier and DJ. This is Somalia. This is Kenya. This is the Horn of Africa, as it's called. Yemen is right across the Gulf of Aden from the Horn of Africa. As we zoom in here, you can see like all of this plays. Basically, I will tell you from years of sustained war. President Barack Obama let go so many drone attacks. He actually bombed America out of bombs. That's a true story. So
I
he
remember
actually
that.
bombed America out of bombs. In this first like 50 miles of coastline here, this is basically rubble.
Hmm.
Okay, like it's really, it goes down. The geography here is really weird. There's actually like a pretty high elevation that happens right after the sea here. Like it basically goes from sea and then it like goes up a lot before you get to like the targeted areas here. We have been shellacking Yemen forever. I don't remember. Do you remember voting on going to war with Yemen?
I don't. I don't
I don't
remember that.
either.
It was weird. I do
I
remember
keep
being
getting
in those meetings though when we found out that we were out of rounds for everything. And I was
everything.
like, it was a weird
Yeah.
meeting to be in the military where like the things that never occur to you, and then you're in these like higher level meetings downrange, and they're like, no, like, are we gonna have enough stuff to do this? Like, we ordered all these things. Like, when are they coming in? Like all these missiles and bombs and all this other stuff because we're out. I was like, I don't even know like how's that possible?
Right. Yeah.
Where's it going, boss? Where's all the stuff going?
Well, one of those bombs went to kill Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, which was actually an American citizen. Barack Obama did that. He killed an American citizen with one of those drone attacks. That is what it is. We're digressing here. But so we're there in Yemen. The carrier that they took off from was out in the Red Sea, and then the USS Gettysburg was also there as well. The friendly fire incident records the first time a crewed American aircraft has been shot down in the 14 months that U.S. forces have battled the Houthis around Yemen. Houthis claim to have shot down several MQ-9 drones, but no crewed jets or helicopters. This FA-18 is the first to be taken out in the fighting, albeit accidentally, by the U.S. Navy. So the U.S. Navy, I mean, really, do you think they're going to paint a little fighter jet on the side of their boat? I mean, because it is a shoot down. It is a fifth-gen fighter. What's a fourth-gen fighter?
Some of those enlisted folks are going to be like, I'm taking credit for that one. Yeah,
100%.
We finally got one, boys.
I'll tell you what, in the investigation, do you think somebody's getting charged for a fighter jet?
No.
No, I don't know. I had a guy lose a radio once and they charged him for it. You think this is the same thing or no?
I would hope so. Yeah, that would
How
be
much
awesome.
is it? You know what? Let me look and see how much is an FA-18.
I mean, and if you can actually charge officers for all kinds of stuff, you can only charge unlisted.
$55.7 million.
I mean,
$55.7 million bucks. You think some poor E5? What is an E5? Is that a PO yet in the Navy?
Dude,
is that a PO3?
It's so weird.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay. So no. Yeah, they're a petty officer. Yeah, petty 5 and 6 are petty officers. You're a seaman after 4. There's the jokes write themselves. I got to be honest with you.
I don't remember. I remember we had like Navy instructors in weather school, and I still don't remember. They were called like, I don't know. I think our E6 was called AG1.
No. Well, they also confuse it with their rate. So a lot of times, like their rate, like a corpsman, right? Their actual rate is hospitalman. So like their HM1, that's hospitalman 1 is your I think is that your petty officer in charge? I don't know.
Dude, I have no
I
idea.
don't respect the Navy ranks because they're the only ones that are just completely different.
They
They're
get
just
so bored out there on the ocean that they just make all this crap up
they
because
just
there's nothing else to
yeah
do.
yeah they do make stuff up. But man, I got to be honest with you. This is going to be bad. Now I do want to talk about some interesting talks, and this is why I knew that you were going to like this here. I got a question from a friend the other day. This started breaking. I threw a reel out on it. I wanted to see how it developed, so I saw what happened, threw a reel out on it, and then woke up this morning and we have a little bit more information. So I wanted to get this episode out just real quick, just a little quick hitter, something to wet your beak. But I want to ask you, Trent, is there a possibility that this is a cover up from something else? For instance, would the Navy blame this on themselves as opposed to admitting that the Houthis shot down an FA-18?
I was rolling some of these things around in my head earlier. Like we could be doing this to cover up something else or, blah, blah, blah. And it's not a possibility. The fact that they're not even saying like how it was shot down, which weapon system was used. The F-18 evade? Like, did they employ countermeasures? Like, it's not that easy to shoot down an F-18. They also have systems that will be like, if we're painted, they know about it.
Yeah.
And then you would think that would just precipitate more conversation between them and the other boat that's shooting at them. You're like, hey guys, I'm lit up right now. Could you not? Because it seems like it's coming from your general direction.
Right.
But it's kind of a weird thing. Did one of those little drones just like get up in there and take them down?
I don't know. Well, I had this conversation, and I don't trust anything anymore. Anytime that anybody comes at, it's like the MSM. Anytime that they come out, Dan Bongino calls it the old dipsy-doo flipperoo. Anytime the MSM says anything, literally anything, I just assume it's the opposite. I assume that they're trying to lie to me. And usually, like 90% of the time, you're right. For instance, I'm going to put a reel about this, when we get off here. But there was all the hullabaloo over the spending bill, and the Democrats said that the Republicans canceled the part of the bill that gave cancer research to kids, and it became this huge thing. And then it turns out, no, they actually passed that bill, and it's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk for 9 months because Chuck Schumer didn't want to pass it. So actually, but when I see stories like this, the first thing that I said, and I was like, hey, man, I agree that it could be not what we're seeing. I agree that there could be some underpinnings here, but using Hanlon's razor here, like they're incompetent most likely and not malicious. So that's number one. But number two, if they were going to cover it up, if they were going to blame somebody, no, you'd totally blame the Houthis. You'd be like, oh, bro, Russia supplied them with these heat-seeking missiles, and they shot down one of our FA-18s. Time to go whole hog in Yemen. Forever war is on the menu, boys. Or you can say that Russia gave them a heat-seeking missile, and now we have to blow Russia up. Or Iran did it, and that gets us further into the Israel-Gaza conflict. Like all these other things. I was just laughing because I'm so black-pilled at this point that I'm just like, well, I mean, if they are making it up, they're blaming the wrong people because that doesn't get us into another war. Like, General Dynamics isn't gonna freaking benefit too much from us just schwacking sand people in Yemen.
Well, I mean, they already have kind of like full autonomy to do whatever they want in Yemen, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do we gain by trying to whip up a frenzy of the American people to go bomb Yemen some more? Like, what is left to bomb in Yemen?
There's nothing. It's like, straight rubble. Like the absolute genocide that has been happening in Yemen is something that people. Let me see how many people died.
Go check out what Dave Smith has to say about Yemen, and it's been going on for a long time, guys. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Not to say that there have never been any legitimate targets in Yemen. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the it's a little bit of overkill. What's actually happened versus some targeted killings.
Yeah, so Yemen, the UN has estimated the war in Yemen has killed 377,000 people by the end of 2021. These aren't even updated stats. Over 150,000 of these deaths were direct result of the armed conflicts. What far more have due to higher hunger and disease as a result of humanitarian crisis of the war. And not a single blue-haired 19-year-old white female barista knows what a Yemeni flag looks like. Not a single protest, not a single bit of anger for all of these things. Again, Barack Obama, and this is a true fact. Go look it up, nerds. Barack Obama, his drone program was so expansive that we ran out of bombs. We ran out of munitions. And Yemen is one of those places that is absolutely getting the brunt of it. And when you start looking at not only our own actions, like our own military direct action, in that area. And by the way, I've been deployed to the Horn of Africa a couple times, right across the Gulf of Aden. So we knew all of this stuff was going on the entire time. 2012, bro.
Yep.
We were on alert for things that were happening over there. Like, this has been going on for decades, more than a decade at least. So yeah, but the other thing that we're doing is, the Houthis are not they're not so copacetic with the Saudi Arabian whole contingent. So we're also arming Saudi Arabia to the teeth, and they're also slaughtering Yemens. Go ahead, Trent.
Do you think that the Saudis accidentally shot down one of our 18s?
I think it's possible the Saudis could have purposely shot down one of our 18s, a la the U.S. Liberty, which happened for real, trying to drag us into a larger protracted war.
Yeah, whether it was an accident or on purpose, if it involved the Saudis, that would be a good reason for our government to say that it wasn't them and it was us. Because that relationship is pretty important to the folks out in Washington.
It is. It's pretty important everywhere, because fuel and energy is everything. If you don't have fuel and energy, you do not have anything, to include all the plastics that you eat and all the food that gets delivered to you, and everything in the world is driven by fossil fuels. So it's a pretty interesting thing to think about. Again, I do want to say, like, Trent and I are kind of being flippant or a little bit sarcastic. Both of the pilots were recovered. No big deal. Minor injuries. Ejecting from an airplane is bad. The countermeasures didn't work enough to evade, but they did work enough to punch these pilots out. And they got recovered, which is super cool. There's some Navy rescue swimmer that are sitting on these boats. The search and rescue guys finally got a mish. Good for them.
Great job, y'all.
Good for them.
I'm surprised that the ejection seats actually worked, because there were, like, you remember all the pilots after the last Top Gun movie came out? They're like, the most realistic part about that movie was when they went to go eject and the ejection seats didn't work, because they were having a bunch of problems for a while.
Were they really?
Oh yeah. There were just flocks of birds that ejection seats weren't working.
I heard that. All right, so let's talk about, like, recruiting. So good idea on Top Gun there. So does this Navy thing? I saw another funny meme, like, right now everybody's going over to the Air Force because obviously, the Navy's shooting down their own jets, getting their own, like, their team kill. Like, do you think this hurts recruiting for the Navy or anything? What happens?
Nah, I think it's such a small blip on the radar of things that are happening. If anything, this is good for the Navy because they're in the news.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And there's no such thing as bad press. It's just press. And the Navy is probably feeling left out of a bunch of stuff over the last few years. And hey, now they're back in there. Hey guys, we're doing so. We're battling Houthis.
Yeah, with all the incompetence that the Air Force and the Army's been doing. The Army's got 4-star generals that are getting fired. The Air Force has every Tom, Dick, and Harry getting hit up for sexual assault, and Space Force has a guy pretending to be a girl as like a 3-star general or whatever that person is now. The Navy's like, hey, let me get some of that incompetence, and boy, did they go whole hog. Good job. They're like, yeah, want to see me shoot down a jet?
Check this out, guys.
Check this out. Beer. I would love to be in that debrief too, because the way that these debriefs go, because people are, refuse to be honest and transparent and say mean things to each other, because God forbid you hurt somebody's feelings. Somebody somewhere is going to go, well, I mean, if we want to look at something good, the USS Gettysburg, they can shoot down a 4th-gen fighter. Like, we prove of concept, live fire drill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, are our birds really that easy to shoot down? I'm so confused by, like, I know there's a vacuum of information that I'm just not seeing, but I'm just like,
of course, man, right?
No countermeasures. It's just like, oh, they shot him down. It's like, I get that in my brain, like, it's an immediate, easy thing that happened, but maybe it was. Maybe this F-18 was like flying all over the place, employing all their countermeasures, freaking out, and the Gettysburg was like, no, you are going in the water. You're done,
bro.
Yeah.
But then that opens the question, be like, okay, well, does China have the same weapon that we shot him down with? Does Russia? Because, hey guys, if they do, that ain't air superiority. That's a 50-50 fight. So what you gonna do?
How are we going to establish an airhead to enjoy air superiority in an area where it's not, a given? So that's a tough problem to solve, If only there was somebody out there trying to solve this problem.
If only there was a small contingent of ground operators that could defeat enemy countermeasures in order to establish an airhead. Like a special operations force. Not PJs, they're not special operators. We've already except for the Tier 1 operators at Alaska. The Tier 1 RQS up there probably already has this mission figured out. It's just they don't share their TTPs with the rest of the career field, so we'll never know.
They're busy, bro. Stop
They're-
calling them. They're busy. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
I would not know. I would absolutely not know. Oh, it feels like a good place to end. Everybody, we just wanted to get this one out there and talk about it a little bit. Again, both pilots ejected safely. Yes, there's going to be a lot of people that have a whole bunch of outrageous claims, and they're going to feel some type of way about it. We just wanted to talk to you, get you the information out there, and see if we could have a little bit of a fun with it. Because again, yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, the Navy's going to eat it. Some commander is getting fired somewhere. There's going to be people that are going to rattle on and talk about how terrible this is. It was an accident. It was a terrible accident. It's a Class A mishap, but it didn't cause a loss of life. Both those pilots are back into friendly control, and now we get to open the conversation and start having a question like, what are we doing in Yemen, everyone? What are we doing in Yemen? Combat operations. And now you can understand when people, and we'll end on kind of this topic here as we're wrapping it up, but when people are so flippant about, oh, we should go to this war, we should go, put military here, we should go do that. And people like us, people like Trent and I go, no, dude, no, you shouldn't. All combat operations are dangerous. If you just go somewhere and stick your nose in where it doesn't belong, or maybe where you can't even explain why you're there, you're risking American lives. We're having a completely different conversation about this if those two pilots were killed. If they were unable to eject, or if they were killed on ejection, or we couldn't find them, or if they're lost out in the Gulf of Aden or the Red Sea, or wherever the heck they were. Now we're having a conversation about why were they there in the first place, and you're folding some flags and handing them to family members. So when you start talking about, oh, I want the military to go here, we should have a larger presence here. Number one, okay, you go ahead. Suit up, big guy. Go ahead.
It's what the military signed up for. It's just an occupational hazard for them to do whatever it comes to your mind.
Whatever whim the dumb people of the internet decide that military should be engaged in, right? But stuff like this happens, and it's unfortunate to see friendly fire, but you know what? It happens. It happens. There is a PJ that's walking around right now that is walking around with severe injuries. And you know where he got him? A Green Beret shot him. A Green Beret shot him in a room. I don't know how to tell you any differently. This stuff happens because combat operations are crazy complex, and there is a fog of war.
You should have just given him the ketamine. Why was he holding out on that Green Beret?
They did. He's got a dude. Okay, that's why the Green Beret shot him. That is a very Green Beret thing too. The Green Beret actually had a drug addiction and was mad at the PJ because he wouldn't give him the narcs out of his bag. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, come on, bro. Be cool. Be cool,
anyway,
Air Force.
Be cool, bro. Anyway, just wanted to get that one out there. Again, we're glad that the two pilots got recovered. There's a whole lot of this issue that's going to come out. Somebody is getting fired, and quite honestly, I'm here for it. Fire everybody. See what happens. If you're listening to this one and you like what you're bringing you, if you guys want us to do more of these little like quick hitter, like single off, like we're going to turn this today, we'll get it out today. We'll throw it out on the YouTube. If you guys like this sort of thing, leave us a comment, leave us a like, leave us a review, let us know, give us 5 stars, go over to ONESREADY.com. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that button everywhere you see it, and share this podcast in front of your friends. We would really appreciate it for that.
Breaking news.
Ow.
We did it.